Hi, this is Vicki from Grandma B's Junk Journal. Thanks for stopping by my channel. Today I'm sharing a few ideas to use pages from big books in your junk journal. So I'm going to share some ideas. I had a couple questions from subscribers, and so I thought I'd do just a quick video and hopefully give some ideas on what you can do with some of them. So I just pulled a few books off my shelf, and I've made a couple of samples from pages from these specific books. So this is just a bird book. This is the natural gardening book. It's tall and skinny, but I love to use these pages in my junk journals. They're also in my kits that I have on my website. I like to cut the different images out. I like to pull the pages out, use them as pages in my signatures. And we'll talk more about that. This is one of my golden book encyclopedias. I just pull these out as I need them. And then I have two Rand McNally books, and these are the very large books. So I have a basket of some samples that I just want to share some ideas. So the question was, what can I do with the big pages in these big books? How can I use these big pages in my junk journals? So I have a few ideas for you. So first of all, just as a page in one of your signatures, okay? This is a 8.5 by 11 that I've just folded in half. Now this would be something that I would use into a journal. Well, if you cut one of the images out, this particular one probably came from a book like this, and I just cut the image down, and then I've glued this one. Now you don't have to glue it in there, you can just sew it in there, then you can use front and back, but I just wanted to use this as an example, and I wanted it to be held in place for this. But I like using these in the middle of the signature so that when you open it up, you see the full page, you know, that full picture. Because if you were to put it within your signatures, then like this would be in the front of your signature, this would be in the back of your signature, so you wouldn't see that full image together. But if you put it in the middle of your signature, when you open it up, this is the image that you're going to see. So that's one idea. You can also just use these as pages. So that's one idea. Another idea is just as tags. So this image came from the little bird book, and I just pulled one of these pages out and I used a section of it. Actually, no, I take that back. Sorry. This one is from this book. So what I did was I just pulled one of these pages out, I cut this section out, and then I sewed it onto a cardstock with some ribbons. This is fabric ribbon, and then on the back there's a spot for journaling. So they make great little journaling cards. This one came from one of the Rand McNallys. So it was a very large image in the middle of the page, and I just cut it down. This is just cardstock there, and I didn't measure it or anything. I basically put it over and I just cut around it, and that's what I came up with. So you have your cute image, you have your journaling spot or your photo spot on the back, and it looks really adorable in a junk journal. You can slide it in a pocket, you can clip it to the side, or you could glue two sides and use it as a pocket. So lots of uses for that. And these cute little images in these big books, that's a great way to use them up as just making a simple tag. Now you don't have to sew around the outside like I did. I am trying to use more sewing in the different things that I'm creating with my junk journals or for my junk journals. So I'm really trying to use my sewing machine more, but you do not have to. You could just glue the page right onto some cardstock or a file folder, you know, whatever you have that will give it some stability. And so that's another way. Let's see. I used this image. I think this came from this book. I just cut another image out, put it on some cardstock, cut it down, and just trimmed off the corners to make it look like a tag. Put some ribbon up top, ribbon down on the bottom with a little flower just as embellishments. There's a nice spot for journaling or for a photo. You can stick it in pockets in your junk journal. You can slide it, paper clip. You know, you can clip it into a page. So that's another way to use up some of these pages. Another way, this is going to be 3 different samples of kind of the same technique. And what I did was I pulled some pages from the big Rand McNally books, and I created these little pockets that you might call them a pocket folio, but this can be put right into your journal. You can use it in your signature. I would more than likely, like for this one, because I made pockets on the back, I might use this in a signature. I might also clip it to a side so it's movable. But with this one, there's lots of pockets. So there's a pocket in the back. There's a pocket right here in front. And the same thing here. This is a pocket. I've got a tag here and a tag here. I've used images from one of my children's education books. Actually, this was a very old book. And then I have a pocket in the back with image. This was an image. I made a little collage. This image came from that bird book. I've got some scrapbook paper and a punch, and I've used some stamps. Here's some stamps here. This little bird image is from my bird book, one of my bird books, and flower image is from the bird book as well. So I just kind of made a little collage. I've stamped a few different things here. This I glued the top down. Now I'm going to show you how to make this. And the base itself is just made from one of these, just one of these large papers from the large book. Now these 3, like I said, it's the same technique. I just want to show you what I made with these. So the same technique. So this one, I used a piece of ephemera to make a pocket in the front with a little card. I've stamped a few different places. I've sewn around it, and I've made a side pocket. This is an image from one of the Rand McNallys. So this is just a tag, a journaling tag that I've put in this little pocket. I've used images from the Rand McNally. I've stamped, I've sewed all the way around it and kind of made a collage here. This is a pocket with just this is scrapbook paper. It's heavy duty, so it fits nicely in there. And then this has a closing. I did not put anything on the back because I thought I might just glue this onto a page and one of the signatures of a journal, and then you open it up and it's interactive. It has a pocket, pocket on the side, and a pocket in front. And then this, it's going to be done the same way. I put a side pocket here with a journaling card. I've made a little collage. The flowers and the bird came from one of the books, and then just scrap paper, and I've sewed around it with some lace and a button. For the button, I just used Fabri-Tac to glue that button on, and the same with the lace. And then here, the flap, I've glued that down so that this one has a pocket here. And then this has a little journaling card. I put some washi tape just for decorative. And then this, this is scrapbook paper. It's just kind of a beautiful collage paper. Washi tape here. There's a pocket here. And again, I sewed around it. I can get that in there. And then put some lace. And then I just left this blank on the back because the paper is so pretty. You could glue this onto your page. You could clip it, you know, so it's interactive. Now, how did I make this? They were very simple on how to make this. So it doesn't really matter what size paper you use. I think you want a rectangle for this. But again, this is kind of an example. These are examples using the large book pages, okay? Things that you can do with the large book pages. So first of all, you're gonna take your page from your book, and I trimmed this up because I had to rip it out. And I'm gonna just fold it down like, you know, maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches at the very most. It really doesn't matter. It's whatever you want. Then I'm going to bring this up so it's just underneath. So this is going to be the top, and this is the opening of here. So I'm not measuring, I'm eyeballing, and I just want it a little bit from the fold here. Okay. All right. So the top and the bottom. Then I'm going to fold it in half this way. Hot dog way, you would say. If I was back in my classroom, I would say fold your paper the hot dog way. All right, so this is going to go back up. This is going to come down, and then we can close it this way, or we could close it this way. It's really doesn't matter. I think for this example, maybe I'll just go this way. All right, so let me, actually, you know what, so I can show you exactly how I did this. So we'll look at this one here in front. So this is what it looks like. I have it in half next to this. All right. So then next, what I did was I put some scrap. Now you don't have to do this. I'm just letting you know this is what I did to kind of get this effect. I put a piece of scrapbook paper here. I'm not going to give you measurements because this is like totally, it could be totally different from every person that does this. So once you get your paper folded, I put scrapbook paper here. Now, if you had a cute image here from your book page, I wouldn't cover it up, but I don't for this example. So I put a piece of scrapbook paper, and then I made a little bit of a collage here. I just tore a piece of scrapbook paper. I tore out a bird image, and underneath here I had some scraps of just a paper doily, so like this. And if you don't have that in your scrap, you can find those anywhere, but like I like to get them at the Dollar Tree. But anywhere you can find them. And I just kind of put little pieces just kind of peeking out. So you don't have to use a whole piece. You know, I just kind of tore little pieces. So then what I did was I sewed around that, and then I glued on my button last. Now, I wanted a pocket pulling out here. So see this right here? You have a pocket right there. So for this side, I'm gonna go ahead and get some scissors. And before I can show you the next step on how to do this pocket, what we're gonna do is, this is that top flap. We're going to cut on the fold, so that way it opens up. And then if you look here, this kind of went down at an angle. Now you absolutely don't need to do that. You could leave it square, but for this example, I went ahead and kind of cut it at a diagonal like this, and then I cut it at a diagonal like that. And then I used some decorative scissors. Now, somebody asked me in one of my videos, what were the scissors that I used on some projects? And I had said that I used Stampin' Up, a pair of scissors that I got from Stampin' Up, but I didn't have them with me at the time of the video. But here they are. They're Stampin' Up, and this is what the cut looks like. I don't know if Stampin' Up still has these, but I've had these for a lot of years, and they're my absolute favorite. So if you order from Stampin' Up, their scissors I highly recommend, because I've had them for a long time. But anyways, so I'm just gonna kind of cut that like this, and I'm not gonna do this whole project. This isn't like a, tutorial on how, I'm not gonna do it, but I wanna explain how I did it so that you can get your scraps out if you want to and kind of recreate it. So I just, right here, I just used my decorative scissors to cut that, and then I glued it. And so then what that did is it kind of closes this up, but it leaves that pocket. So we have a pocket at this end, okay? Now on this side, I wanted the pocket to be up top instead of on the side. So I went ahead and glued this closed, and then I left this open. I did use one of my little punches to make the little moon here, half circle, whatever you want to call that. And before I glued it, I went ahead and just punched that out, because once you glue it, it's like close to impossible to get your punch down there. So, if you want to cut those out, you're going to want to do that before you glue, okay? So anyways, there you go. So if you were to glue this down like this, that will leave this side open for that side pocket. And then if you glue this side, it's gonna leave this open for your top pocket, like what I have here, okay? Then what I did was I went ahead and sewed around my flap. I used a little piece of scrapbook paper here, and I sewed around it. And then I added, like I said, I added scrapbook paper here, sewed. Now for this pocket, I sewed around like this and left that open. For this pocket, I sewed around here on the 3 sides and left this open, okay? And then I just left the back the way it is, because I was thinking I would just glue this right onto a page like that. And then you would have that pocket and this pocket. You'd be able to write. You could put a photo here. And then you've got that cute bird. Now, there's all kinds of, and I got these books at thrift stores. I've got a collection of these because I always grab them when I see them, because you can get them, for less than $1. And these images go so well with collaging. If you are collaging, for your layering effect, the pages in these kind of books are really great to use. This would even be great to use as like the front cover of a journal. So, keep an eye out for any kind of gardening, wildlife books, because the images are great to use for collages. This would be a beautiful, beautiful image to put in your journal. You could fussy cut around it and use it as a pocket, or whatever. There's so many things to use. I just wanted to give you a couple of ideas. These were really easy, and literally it started with just one page, folding down, folding up, folding in half. Then you have your front, glue this down. You have a pocket here, glue this side. You have a pocket here. Sew around it if you want to, but you don't have to. I'm just really trying to challenge myself to use my sewing machine. So anyways, and just, you know, a little bit of crafting this morning. I was able to make these cute little pocket folios, whatever you want to call them, that will go great in journals. And basically it was used, you know, with junk, with scraps, with things that were going to end up in the landfill had I not bought them. Now there is a couple more things that I wanted to talk about here. This one is literally just using pages. So I took, let's see, I took this page. This is a page right here. That came from here. So I took this page out, or a page like this, and I used this on the front. I took a second page because it was, you know, this wasn't big enough. I took a second page and I glued the two together to make a wrap around, and then I glued this one to the back, but this one is going to be open. Okay, so then I took some pages from some of the other large books. I think I took some pages from here and a couple of the others, and all I did was fold them in half. That was it. So this was like the front of a front page in here, like one of the introductory pages. So basically what I did was I took a bundle of pages, folded them in half, and we created a cute little journal. And then I'll go through it. I didn't highly embellish it. I was honestly just trying to make a few quick things just to show a few ideas in case anybody's crafting this weekend. But anyway, so 2 pages, glued them together, and I made this little wrap, okay? And the rest of these are pages from these books that I literally just put in half, you know, I folded in half. I added some trim just to, you know, give it a little bit more. This is some fabric. I used Fabri-Tac and I glued it onto the page. Whenever I am gluing lace or fabric, I usually always use Fabri-Tac or sew. Because it sticks so well. And then this was just a little card from my little box of cards that I have, journaling cards or embellishment ephemera. And then this was a scrap fabric to match this with a button. I also used the Fabri-Tac to glue that button on. I used a pamphlet stitch, the just 3-hole stitch in here, and this could be a standalone journal, or, you know, you could slide it into a pocket of a different kind of journal. I did put an envelope, one of the long envelopes. I cut down the flap of it. And I'll show you when we get there, but I cut down the flap of it and just kind of wrapped it around in the signature. I took a picture from that bird book and glued it on here, so we have a nice little pocket. And then just some of the pages from the bird books. This is a piece of parchment paper. Just some little papers from my, you know, from my stash. And a nice big image, so that when you open up the journal, you get to see the full page of him or her. But it's beautiful. You know, spots for writing, spots that you could glue photos or other kind of things that you like to glue into journals. You know, so this is just a simple, small little journal, but I just wanted to give you an idea of another way to use some of these big pages. You know, so you could, you know, tie a ribbon, tie some lace around to close it up if you wanted to, but I just wanted to give you some ideas on different ways that you could use those big pages to create some really cool things that you could use in your journals. So I hope this maybe has given you a little bit to think about this weekend if you're creating. And when you're out thrifting and going to antique shops or thrift stores, look for those books, the big books, because you know you can use those pages and make some really great things that you can use in your junk journals or your glue books. So thanks for stopping by. I greatly appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.